How's it going, guys and geeks? Welcome back to the Geek Critique Show. My name's Dakota.
I'm Jen.
And we're going to be talking all about Doctor Who Series 10's first episode, The Pilot, which just aired last night on BBC and BBC America. It's been a long time since Doctor Who's been on air. Obviously, we got the Christmas special recently, The Return of Dr. Mysterio. But this is the first time that we've gotten a full season in... we didn't get one last year.
Yeah.
What the heck?
So it just, even that feeling of like, wow, the season premiere, it was just crazy. It was like such a rush, you know?
Yeah,
like,
it's a...
oh my gosh, we're actually getting a new season of Doctor Who. Ugh. I'm going to be honest, I was a little disappointed, which I think I've said before, I wasn't crazy about Dr. Mysterio, so I'm happy to be getting something fresh, something new, because that wasn't necessarily for me. Not that it was bad, it just wasn't for me.
Now, gut reaction, Jen, The Pilot. What were your emotions coming out of it?
Coming out of it, I just felt like I had more questions than answers, and they're questions that I'm expecting to get answered as this series goes on.
We better get answers.
I kind of felt like we understood Heather's point of view and, you know, where she was coming from, in a sense, but I didn't get the monster's point of view. But at the same time, I still kind of wish that we had had the opportunity to know Heather a little more. Because you hear her, like, looking really sad, like her life isn't very easy. Have her saying things like she just wants to get out of here. And it makes you wonder what in her life was wrong. And you just have, like, this person, this depressed person just kind of taken. And it's sad because you can't really mourn her death because you don't know her. The whole episode begs the question of why is the Doctor a professor right now? And I kind of got the answer in the sense that he, after Clara dies, he kind of doesn't want to do what he's normally doing anymore because he's putting people at risk. But even, like, the subjects of his lectures, I feel like are very hinting as to the direction that this series is taking. You know, imagine all of your life kind of like a movie, but you're seeing all of the images laid out before you. So I think the characters that we think are over are only just beginning. I think we are going to get a lot more from them, and we're going to understand where they're coming from by the end of the series. Or at least that's what I'm anticipating.
Now, what I like meant to ask you was, did you like it or not?
It's tough to say because I'll like it if I get the answers, you know, by the end of the series. But if that's the end of it and it's like we don't really get the point of those liquidy oil, space oil monsters, whatever they were, I'll be a little upset, you know, because it's like you very loosely named that episode The Pilot as like a cheeky little reference or whatever to the fact that, you know, the first episode of a series, but it's usually the first season, is called a pilot.
Right.
If I don't get answers, I'll be a little disappointed, but it's given me a lot of expectation.
And let's talk about that. The name of the first episode is The Pilot. I have a feeling it wasn't originally called The Pilot, and he thought, Stephen Moffat that is, it would be great if we incorporated that into the plot somehow. I have a feeling this episode was going to be called The Girl with the Star in Her Eye, just because that seems to be a point that was brought up that was kind of glossed over once we realized what the oil puddle was a little bit. As far as the motivations of the oil puddle, we assume it's oil. That was what it was compared to, but it looked more like water to me, if I was being honest with you. It seemed really sinister at first, because it seemed to have called to the girl, Heather, based on the fact that she wanted to leave. Everywhere she went, she just wanted to get out of there. So it claimed her as the pilot, but just because once or twice Heather invited Bill to come with her, potentially, it then claimed that Bill was the passenger to whatever voyage they were about to go on. I guess the point, what is the point of doing this? You're taking control of Heather, you're taking control of a Dalek for the sake of finding other people to enjoy the universe with? Or is it more sinister than that? Because a lot of the times, I don't know. There's so many questions that aren't answered. It's hard to even say whether or not this monster was truly villainous or just misunderstood.
But I guess that's what I'm saying. I feel like we were told very little, but I'm thinking that this story is starting somewhere in the middle. I have a feeling that this season is going to be one timeline that they jump around in without, you know what I mean? Like they're just going to kind of do whatever they want. And then we're kind of supposed to pick up the smaller things that they say and put it together to get the ending. Just based on what he said in the lecture, just kind of like picture your whole life scattered. It just felt very much like you're supposed to leave this confused. Because honestly, if that was the end of it, that doesn't make any sense.
Which wouldn't be totally amiss in Moffat era Who. Moffat Who is riddled with plot holes. There are so many unfinished storylines all over the place.
Yeah, that's true. But this seemed like it was intentional.
Okay.
This seemed very intentionally plot holy. I don't even think Moffat would do that.
But why are there no ducks in the duck pond?
Why aren't there any ducks?
I don't know. There's never any ducks.
Then how do you know it's a duck pond?
Beyond the monster, we got a few surprises. You mentioned earlier that the Doctor is working as a professor in this university. I don't know if they named the university. I didn't catch it.
No,
if they did.
Didn't.
If it was Coal Hill School, they would have definitely mentioned it, I think. But
no, this was more a university.
Yeah, no, but again, Coal Hill School, they've shown it to be anywhere from like middle school age kids to kids in class, which are clearly high school and above.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, why is he moonlighting as a professor? He even says that he promised to be here. He promised to not leave this post.
I thought it was a promise to not take someone with him because of what happened to Clara. Or maybe I misunderstood that. So yeah, he looked at the picture of River and his granddaughter Susan and said, like, he promised he wouldn't do that again, but I thought that was more of a promise that was to not bring along companions anymore because of what happened to Clara.
Right, which wouldn't necessarily make any sense because he does have Nardole, played by Matt Lucas, joining him.
Yeah, and we still... And that's what I mean. This season hasn't given us answers.
Right.
And I feel like we're going to get those eventually. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are they there? What is this thing in the vault underneath? What is this all going on? Why is this other person there?
That's true. The vault. We didn't get any answers to that either.
Yeah, the vault is and that's what I'm saying. I just have a feeling that we are starting the story either towards the end or at the middle.
Okay.
Because it's all, like he said, pictures, kind of like a movie. And I think this is almost Moffat kind of making a joke in the sense of like, yeah, I've been kind of called out for my plot holes before. This is his last season. I don't expect him to not care.
Yeah,
he loves Doctor Who. And I think he's trying to go out with a bang. And I have a feeling that this is going to be, like, a lot of the questions that we have are going to get answered and then some.
Now, I'm
holding him to a high standard because it's his last season.
Yeah. I think we're going to get a lot of callbacks to classic Doctor Who. Now, the Doctor took Bill to Skaro. He said it was the greatest fire ever in the universe. We got a small glimpse of the Movellans, which were first introduced in Destiny of the Daleks, a fourth Doctor story.
I believe the planet is called Skaro.
Skaro?
Our mission is directed against a force known as the Daleks. You know the Daleks?
Oh. Better than you could possibly imagine.
So that was pretty neat. I was never a huge fan of the Movellans. I always thought their attire looked a little silly, but
I am expecting, because we know Moffat loves Classic Who, and I'm expecting a lot of references to Classic Who. Even that, like, I haven't seen that episode, so I haven't picked up on. I'm still working on my Classic Who education. But, yeah, so
I'm the professor here.
Even when I saw, you know, just the way that they were dressed and the look of them, I was like, yeah, that's a Classic Who reference. I don't know it, but it is. So, Dakota, what did you think of Bill?
I thought she was really genuine, actually. I think the actress Pearl Mackie did a fantastic job of just acting normal. Acting like someone would actually act in the face of someone like the Doctor. Just confused and shocked. The best moment that we saw in this episode occurred when Bill first entered the TARDIS. I think that scene will go down in Who history as just one of the best introductions to a companion, because the way they filmed it with her looking outside the doors, and it's got
windows.
Yeah, it's got windows. They can break in. But I love the fact that it zoomed out, it was in darkness, and it slowly lit up. The TARDIS slowly lit up. And it's almost like, as a fan, you're seeing this for the first time all over again, and it is beautiful and fantastic. And then when she turns around, and the look of shock, confusion, wanderlust, all of it like hit her right there, and she just kind of like...
Well, it took her a little slow to catch up, but...
Oh yeah, it did, but I think
She was impressed when she thought it was an elevator, so...
Yeah, she thought it was a lift. I love the reaction of her going into the TARDIS because that's how I would react. I wouldn't be like, oh, it's bigger on the inside, automatically. I wouldn't freak out and run outside and look at the outside of it. I would just kind of be like, okay, something like that. And I think that's really cool. I think the chemistry on screen will be as good as Rose and Ten. I really hope that is the case because I feel like Pro-Maki is such a fantastic actress just from what we saw. Just the naturalness of her joining the TARDIS crew.
Yeah, and just more of the friendship, obviously, is what he's talking about, not like the love interest necessarily, because they did just gel really well together. And it did feel more natural in the sense of she was more mellow and not as like... Kind of like Clara. I think a lot of people weren't crazy about Clara, which I personally liked Clara, but a lot of people didn't like her because of the fact that she seemed like she was in a fairy tale almost, and her reactions were...
That's kind of the thing with Matt Smith's Doctor Who.
Yeah, it was very fairy tale.
From series 5 onwards, it was just... This was a fairy tale character, and even the theme song that Murray Gold chose for Matt Smith's Doctor was very like... Da, 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 da. That was really bad. Anyway.
But in a sense, I kind of see what you're saying. Not the love interest, but just the fact that she's so laid back. It's funny because just seeing her in interviews, I thought she was really cool. But as an actress, I think she is really good. Mm-hmm. Like, even where she's looking at her mom's pictures and crying, you know, you could really...
There's another question. We saw the Doctor...
I'm telling you, yeah.
We saw the Doctor in the mirror of one of the shots taking a picture of her mother.
But why? Then that's my thing. Like, why didn't she bring that up necessarily? Well, like, I don't... You know what I'm saying? But
maybe
that's what I'm telling you. Like, there's something up with both Heather and Bill. Like, they're both not... They're part of the reason that he's there, I'm pretty sure. And like I said, we're starting in the middle. There's so much more in her past and in her future than what we're getting right now. And I think that's why we're so confused.
I think... Well, the Doctor does say maybe we'll meet up with Heather again at some point.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of where the ending's going to be, them two uniting. But I'm saying right now, like, I think there's a lot about her history, and even the fact that she has memories from her mom when her mom died when she was a baby. It's just not, something's not right. And they've kind of given us a very powerful villain that can also travel through space and time. So to see them just cut short at the end there so quickly seems rather sudden. So that's why I'm kind of expecting more to come from this. I think this season's going to be one continuous story.
Yeah, and I hope it's not the same oil monster / Heather / Dalek the entire series, because that would get really boring after a little while. I actually hope, if they choose to bring her back, I hope I don't see her until maybe the penultimate episode of the series, whatever. Now, Jen and I are going to stay totally spoiler-free. I've already gotten several things spoiled to me. Several reveals spoiled to me.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I haven't. It's wonderful.
She hasn't even seen the Next Time trailer, so...
Yeah, I've decided, like, after he got some big spoiler he was telling me about, I shut off my notifications on my phone and I've stayed completely out of everything.
Spoiler-free.
Yeah, I just want to experience it the way that it is, and I don't want to know anything.
Which is, I think, is the best way to do it.
So I haven't even been reading that many comments, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
I miss it. But after this season, I'll turn them back on.
For you guys.
Just for you.
So do you think Bill's draw to Heather, the character of this oil creature / Heather, is more infatuation or more wanderlust?
It's hard to say because she does a lot of things that to me didn't really make sense. Like, there's one scene where Heather's face is kind of coming out of the puddle on a different planet in a different time, and Bill just kind of looks at her, and I'm like, run! Run! What are you doing? So...
she sees, like, an innocence in it that
but, like,
she
how do you
shouldn't.
see an innocence out of a corpse coming out of a puddle? Like, that's
right.
crazy. So that kind of bugged me a little, and I'm like, okay, I guess that's led by infatuation, but even if Dakota's corpse was, and I'm married to him, was coming out of a puddle, I would be running. Like, I wouldn't even be there for a split second. Like, I would push his head down and just take off. So that, I'm like, okay, I guess that's infatuation, but we do see so much wanderlust in the sense that, you know, she's so happy to be at this university, even if she's just serving chips and getting to go to free lectures. And that shows me that she is someone who is, like, craving and, like, thirsting for more knowledge.
Right.
And wants more. But, again, I feel like there's something huge missing in her life that she's looking for. Some information, like, even to, like, her mentality of, like, I don't know, have you ever seen a science fiction thing? Like, I feel like she knows something that she's maybe not aware of, or there's something going on there that, to me, is, like, she's missing something. She's craving something. She's searching.
I love... I mean, I've already mentioned this scene, but when she's in the TARDIS and she goes, "I know you're not a sci-fi guy," and then she turns around and sees like the ultimate sci-fi creation of all
like,
time.
Time and relative dimension in space. It doesn't get more sci-fi than that.
Yeah, fantastic.
I thought that was really well done, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a whole, your opinion on the episode, just in 5 words, because that's how many fingers I have.
The pilot was just okay. It wasn't the best of Doctor Who that I've seen, but it certainly wasn't the worst. I liked the feel of an Earthbound Doctor. We've seen the Doctor come back for a companion and leave her back on Earth as she does her like day-to-day work, her day-to-day job, and just pick her up like Clara. This is the Doctor working as a professor on Earth in a university, but we don't know why. Presumably he's going to be doing adventures with his new companions with Nardole. Which, again, we don't know anything about Nardole.
And that actor in the interview that we saw with him, he was hilarious.
And the interview
He
we're
honestly,
talking about,
which that's sad to say, but he really stole the show. Like, I was cracking up at everything he said, so
yeah.
I think we're going to get a lot of good stuff from him.
Now, the show we're talking about is an interview that we saw at New York Comic Con well, last year. And, yeah, Matt Lucas is hilarious. I think it's hard to say how I feel about him in the show now, because he's being pretty much underused. I'll go out and say it. He's funny, but I hope he's not just there for the occasional quip. I think overall it was a solid first episode, not a 7 out of 10. A solid 7 out of 10. It was a little bit forgettable.
But I think by the end of the season, we'll be rewatching it to figure out what the heck is going on.
Definitely. Well, what did you think, actually, now that we've talked about it?
I'm trying to put it into 5 words. We will get much more. There we go. I can say 5 words at once.
Your review is pending on future episodes.
Yeah,
basically.
my review, if this is the end of it, I will genuinely be pissed. I'm not saying that lightly. Like, I will actually be furious. But I feel like this is an open door in both directions. And if it's going in the direction that I think it's going, I think it could potentially be really cool if it's done properly. As much as Moffat's kind of gotten on my nerves in the past, I do think he really loves Doctor Who, and I'm really hoping he takes his last season seriously. Because if this is the first episode and that's it, I'm going to be like, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, Moffat, kind of ticked off.
All right, guys. If you've watched this far...
Comment Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Yeah, if you've
Whiskey
watched,
Tango Foxtrot.
If you've watched up to this point, the key word is Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. I know that's 3 words, but
it's the key 3.
It's the key 3 words. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, bye.